Howdy folks, Jamboree here, and welcome to another episode of the Church of Tim Curry, the show where we review films starring the wonderful, magnificent Tim Curry. Joining me is my co-host, Viva Becker.
Welcome.
So we're going to be talking about the 1982 TV movie adaptation of Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is a little orphaned boy who ends up living and working in Mr. Bumble's workhouse. After Mr. Bumble is outraged that he had asked for more food during dinner time, he decides to send Oliver away to a coffin maker. When Oliver gets sick of his new home, he escapes, only to become a member of a pickpocket gang led by a man called Fagin. Fagin is friends with a creepy fellow called Sykes, and his sweet-hearted girlfriend Nancy, who mothers Oliver like her own child. Due to his size, Oliver is chosen to help Sykes with a house robbery. When caught by the house owners, the Brownlows, Oliver explains his rough experiences, and the family try to protect him from Fagin and Sykes. Meanwhile, a mysterious man is trying to locate Oliver with the conspiracy to kill the poor child. So Viva, what did you think of the film?
Well, my initial reaction before I even watched it was comparing it to the TV film that came out, I think, 2007, Oliver Twist. That one definitely had a lot more resources poured into it. I think I can definitely tell that the budget for these TV films have gone up because I think the 2007 one is like multiple parts and they're all the length of this one movie. So wow. The 2007 is, I think, either double or more than double the length of this one. This one has very interesting pacing, but it was,
to put it lightly,
it was entertaining. They had to squeeze, to be fair, a pretty long story into an hour and 20 minutes or something.
I've got an hour and 38 on my end.
Yeah, well, short, especially, by today's standards where most movies are going to be at least 2 hours.
Personally, I think, like you said, the TV budget really shows throughout the whole film. They do pull off the whole dingy Victorian London look because of this, but I feel as if the filmmaking is so amateur. Like, you can see where it's almost like they don't care at some points, and they're kind of like, right, we need to set the camera up here, get that shot, move on, get that shot, move on. Almost like B-movie standards at points, and this isn't just the production stage, the editing stage as well. There are so many parts where I feel as if the editing just jumps in the most jarring ways.
There are some very interesting editing decisions.
Look what you've done, you little wretch! Oh! 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 Don't you hit me, you blindfold! Taste that! Oh!
3 o'clock on Wednesday.
Again, mildly putting it. And the thing was, I thought, at first I was kind of into it, because again, the way they pull off how creepy and dark and mucky this London is interesting at first. It got me intrigued. But the more the film went on, the more I started to realise, they don't know what they're doing behind the camera. And to be fair, the actors are fine. They're okay, and they're doing a pretty good job with the material. But I'm really curious if the filmmakers have actually done anything else that's good, because this is not a good example of their abilities.
To be fair, it also came out in the 80s.
Yeah. That's the thing. If you told me without me knowing afterwards, this is a 1980s British production for television, I'd actually be like, it is, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, but I think I imagine they probably had, like, this is the length that it's going to be, this is the budget that you get for it, and this is when it has to be done.
Yes.
And I imagine probably, like, this is what you're going to do for the TV thing. This is what we're going to hire you to do. So I don't imagine, expect that there was a lot of intense passion, like artistic passion behind making it.
No. It really does feel like a factory production, like it's a chore for everyone involved except for the cast who see this as a great opportunity. But I think my biggest problem, because of both how the film feels like a Cliff Notes version of Oliver Twist and how the filmmakers clearly don't give a shit, I didn't care. I just didn't care. Throughout the whole film, I was just like, whatever. Oliver's probably going to get killed. Okay, right, okay.
I will say that I did enjoy it. I liked watching it. I cared about it. I cared a lot more because, you see, they had a real child playing the main character and not some disgusting animated thing. And I thought the acting was... I thought it was pretty good for what it was in, and I enjoyed watching it. I wasn't, moved to tears by anybody or anything like that, but I'm not going to rip on the acting. Maybe on a couple of the kids, but but not the main kids too much.
No, I thought most of the main kids, like Oliver and Dodger, they did their parts fine. It's kids like Charlie who sounded so wooden.
Fagin, it's the end. The worst has happened. Oh my God, they've got the Artful.
What's this?
They've nabbed him, Fagin. Caught him as he snatched a snuff box. I was there. I seen them take him to the clink.
Yeah.
He was a bit painful. He was a bit painful.
Yeah, some of the background kids, and there were a couple moments with the main kids where I thought it was a little bit. They made some interesting choices. Like there's a part where Oliver is showing how angelic he can be, and he runs in with like these flowers, and I can just tell that they were working with this kid. They're like, okay, you gotta have the most beautiful angelic smile here. You gotta show how adorable you can be, and the smile that he came out with, they didn't hire him for that smile. They hired him to be sad. I was a little disturbed.
Oh, poor lad.
But that was only for, a couple seconds, and I think that's just because they were pumping the kid for that smile too hard.
Yeah. What do you think of Tim Curry?
I thought Tim Curry's performance was very interesting. It's very different from his other performances in that he's very evil here, but in the other performances he has this joy about being evil. And in this one he doesn't have that joy about being evil, and I don't think it's because he's not having fun. I think it's because for this character he's not that kind of evil. He's not evil because it's fun or because he thinks it's really, really fun. He's evil because he's a gross guy. Because he's
that's Sykes.
Yeah, he's just a gross kind of dirty, bad person, and that's what makes the performance different, is because that's what this performance needs, and so he couldn't really tap into that cheesy Tim Curry kind of joy that he has in a lot of his other performances. But I still thought it was a good performance because he did what was needed for the role.
I agree, except that I don't find him scary when they're trying to pull off the, like, this is a very intense, crazed man, and he's dangerous. I'm like, I couldn't buy it, I'm afraid. I really couldn't. But that's probably because I feel very attached to Oliver Reed's performance as Sykes in the musical, because that one is terrifying and is quite difficult to live up to that. It was a really mesmerizing performance. I think Tim was fine. He was okay, and he was fantastic playing drunk. Absolutely amazing at playing drunk.
How can you stand it living with him? He's a pig.
What did you say, you
But whenever it came to a part where, like, when he puts the gun up to Oliver's neck, things like that, I just didn't. It didn't creep me out.
See this boy? It wouldn't be the first time it had gone off. And even if it did, there's no one going to come asking after you.
He's definitely sunk a lot more into the gross and pathetic and less of the kind of intimidating, scary.
Yeah, he did those bits the best, absolutely. I found him most engaging at those parts.
Well, like I said, they had to really condense the story down a lot, and I was very interested in what they decided to spend their time on, because obviously their time was very precious to them. And I thought it was kind of weird that they really sped through like his getting to know the family, the Brownlows who take him in, and they kind of sped through him getting to know the gang that he falls in with at the beginning. But for some reason, they decided to lavish like a full-length scene on the part where Sykes kills Nancy. I'm like, okay, why are you showing all this? Because I could think of so many ways they could do that so much faster and not spend time on that. They spent a lot of time on it. And they spent a lot of time on Nancy and Sykes and Fagin. And they didn't spend as much time on any of the relationships that the kind of good characters and Oliver make with each other. And so it was really from the way that they decided to shoot everything, it wasn't really a movie about Oliver Twist at all. It seemed more like it was the Fagin movie and less of the Oliver movie.
It did, yes, I agree. It's as if, this is just a guess maybe, perhaps the studio or the station realised, oh, we've got George C. Scott, oh, we've got Tim Curry, oh, we've got all these people, let's utilise them. And it feels as if that they're embracing the star power a bit more than the story.
Yeah. Which, you know, I guess I would rather watch the professional adult actors than the little kids, but just an interesting thing they decided to do there.
I get you, yeah. You definitely described my feelings as well about, and it connects to how I struggled to care what was going on. And whereas having those character moments where you're supposed to feel as if that this is a powerful scene with these two characters, particularly like Oliver and Fagin and characters like that, there's nothing there because you've not built anything there.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get that emotional. I couldn't get that worked up.
Well, how did you feel at the end of the movie? Like the super abrupt end where they're like, your life is done now, Oliver, or the bad part of your life is over, and then that cut.
You'll never have to see that dreadful place again.
You have a father and a mother. You're not a foundling anymore. You have a name.
It just goes credits.
Yeah.
Bye. What? Yeah, that was
turned out because
insanely.
honestly,
abrupt.
how did you feel
like,
about like how all the characters end up turned out? Because all the characters honestly, I was kind of disappointed that even a little bit of time into making me like fine, and all the characters that they all turned out the ones that I even a little bit of time into making me like they died or they got sent to Australia. The ones that I liked were all turned out terribly. Like they died or they got sent to Australia, and that was it. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you're entertaining, that's it.
Yeah. I guess.
Getting the rope. So yeah, I the ending is just it's again, the problem is the filmmakers treat this like a task they have to do.
Yeah, they just didn't have the essential elements for making a good movie. They didn't have the time or the budget or the passion for it.
No. It really didn't. And the thing is, this could have been really outstanding considering the people they've got attached. This could have been almost fantastic if they had the production values and resources to back them up and a stronger script.
And more time, like a longer runtime, definitely. I think they need at least 2 hours, if not more.
Yes, I totally agree, yeah.
I mean, they cut out the whole part where Oliver gets re-kidnapped by the gang, and then there's this back and forth, like, is Oliver a bad person or not? Or should we try and save him or not? That's all cut out.
Right.
Which is, like, the whole middle part of the story.
Right.
And they shorten his stays with a lot of the people. Like, he's supposed to be staying in these places for months before things happen, and he stays in all of the places, like the coffin maker place, and then the gang in London, and then the Brownlows. He only stays at those places for like a day or so, and he's supposed to be staying there for months.
Yeah, it does feel like he's house hopping for most of this movie.
Yeah, well, because I think they just have to hit those beats. They just had to hit those beats as quickly as they could and move through the story.
Yeah, it really does feel like it. Hey, right, okay, we're done with that house. Let's go into this one now.
I liked watching the movie. I still liked it, and I think it's good for children because they get the idea of the story, but it moves so fast they're not going to get bored with all of the speeches and the histories and the glances and stuff that are in the book. I would say definitely 6 or 7, probably 7 just because it's the one that I remember.
I found this movie to be a very rushed and amateur production. It hasn't aged very well. You can tell the filmmakers not only had limited resources and a mandate to follow, but also didn't have their hearts in the film. My biggest problem with it, though, was that I just simply didn't care about what was happening, and that's the worst thing a film can do, lose the audience's investment. All power to those who see this film as a childhood favourite, but I honestly thought it was rather boring. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Church of Tim Curry. I've been Jamboree. Cheerio, folks.
Goodbye.